Hello and Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I'm Kashif Kamran, AAA expert tutor, with the focus on mastering time management strategies in the AAA paper. This is not the first time I'm conducting a session on time management in the AAA paper. I've already spoke on this subject matter so many times in the past 2 to 3 years on my YouTube channel. And the reason for that is that time management is the biggest challenge in the AAA paper. You ask student after every exam sitting, uh, did you face time management issues? And 90% of the students will respond yes. Time management is the problem, but how to overcome it? I have given so many strategies to students in the past even. I will try to reinforce those strategies in a more broader perspective this time and taking a more broader picture this time and try to involve some new techniques to time management in AAA paper which could be beneficial. Let's open up our discussion on mastering time management. Now, first of all, if we go with simple mathematics, we look at the total time we have in the AAA paper and the total marks we have. And by using that, let's find out a simple answer to how much time we have per mark in AAA. And this is the answer. We have 195 minutes versus 100 marks, which includes technical and professional. And a simple answer to that is 1.95 minutes per mark. Now, this is a time management technique and time management uh, approach I've been using over the last 2 to 3 years, but I need some revision to it, considering the issue, considering the time management issue is still the same. Students are still struggling with time management, so I thought of revising or at least changing this formula a little bit. But just let's first focus on 1.95 minutes per mark. And according to this is how things should work for you in an exam paper. You can see on your screen the three questions with their allocated time according to 1.95 minutes per mark. The total time you have for the question number one for 50 marks is 97 minutes. And for each of the question two and three in the section B of the paper, you have 49 marks each. When you look at the total marks for question number one, 97, of that, 24 minutes is for reading and planning, and 73 minutes is to write. And on the same mechanism for question number two and three, you have 12 minutes to read and plan each of the question two and three, and 37 minutes to write. Now, you know, reading and planning time is essential. And no one could deny its importance because there is so much to read, there is so much to plan before you start to write an answer. If you want to execute a really good answer, an impressive answer, you need to spend time on reading and planning. The reading of requirements, understanding of the requirements, what the requirements are expecting from you, how much you need to write in terms of marks available, looking at the exhibits, looking at the information given to you in the exhibits, trying to extract the best of the information, and then putting up a best answer. Now, reading and planning time always to me is 1/4 of the total time, and 3/4 of the total time is to write. And on that basis, I have split the reading and planning time and the writing time, which is in front of your screen. Now, this is a time management technique on the basis of 1.95 minutes per mark. What are problems? What are issues when a student work on this time management technique? 1.95 minutes. Let's look at some difficulties faced by the students. Now, first of all, the very first difficulty the student face is that the students stretch time on the question number one beyond 97 minutes. Now, the total time for the question number one is 97 minutes, and the student stretched that, almost taking 110 to 120 minutes. Now, this is on the basis of the feedback I got from the June 25 exam setting and September 25 exam setting. And this is an average time the students are taking 110 to 120 minutes. What is bad with this? You have 97 minutes, and suppose you're taking 110 minutes. You are taking 13 minutes over. Now, when you're taking 13 minutes over, what is that causing? That is causing an additional stress in the section B of the paper. You are compromising the time management of section B. When you enter the section B, you will be in more stress. You will be in a rush. You will be in a hurry. And you are at a risk of not completing one of the section B question. Or even if you're writing both the answers to question 2 and 3, the quality will not be that good to get you to a pass status. So when you're taking an extra time over 97 minutes in completing the question number 1, first of all, that's not a wise exam strategy. Second, you're calling yourself into trouble, calling yourself into more stress, and you're compromising the quality of section B of the paper. Not maximizing opportunities, rather believing a good question number 1 or a good question number 1 answer will make them pass. So students believe this. Students have a lot of positivity with this approach. They believe that if they do question number 1 good, even by spending 120 minutes on it, they will pass the paper, even at the expense of an incomplete section B, even at the expense of leaving one question in section B unattended. They think they will pass. Never. This is a disastrous approach in making. If anyone is following it, because there are so many students who are repeatedly failing in AAA, and you ask them, you sit down with them, you discuss with them, the underlying issue is incomplete paper. Now, if you maximize the question number 1 in a hope that you will maximize your marks, no. You have to stretch yourself on a 100 marks paper. You have to maximize your opportunities over a 100 marks paper. You want to touch every question, because in every question there is an opportunity for you to grab your marks and sail towards your first target, which is 50. So, first of all, you have to come out of that habit of overspending time on question number 1, and we'll see the solution for that shortly. But this habit of stretching on question number 1, this habit of going beyond 97 minutes on question number 1 is not helping you anywhere. It's not helping you with passing the AAA paper. And the students who are repeatedly failing this paper will understand this better. Next, rushing over section B, definitely. Because when you have gone over the line in question number 1, you have gone to 110 minutes to 120 minutes in question number 1. What are you doing? You're definitely rushing over section B, and some fail to attempt one of the section B question. You're in panic. You are in stress. Your section B will be disastrous. The moment you've taken 20 extra minutes on section A, that will have a very devastating impact on the section B of the AAA paper, and you're spoiling your section B at the expense of section A, which is not a good strategy. Writing more than the marks given. That's why you overstretch mostly. If there is a 7 marks question which needs 7 points, you might be writing 10 in a hope that the marking team will check the best 7 of the 10. Not at all. Now, this is the only area where the student takes optimism. This is the only place where they demonstrate positivity. They think, okay, there is a question on procedures on impairment, and the marks are 7. So I need to write 7 procedures on impairment for 7 marks. The student will write 10 in a hope that of those 10, the marking team will choose the 7 best I wrote and give me marks. Never. The marking team will be checking the first 7 only and will reward you marks from the first 7. The 3 extra you wrote is giving you nothing. but the 3 extra you wrote is compromising your time. The 3 extra you wrote is uh, is is killing your time, is killing your section B time. So first of all, develop a habit of looking at the marks and writing only up to the marks. If you have 7 marks, you're writing 7 points. If you have 5 marks, you're writing 5 points. You're not stretching beyond that, because if you're writing more than the marks, that's an positivity only for you. That's not a positivity for your marking team. They will only be checking the first 5 or the first 7 and will reward you marks. So this is the time management difficulties when we are going through the 1.95 minutes, which is a standard time management approach, and I've always spoken of it. So, but the problem is stretch. The problem is the time stretch in the question number one. How can we uh, devise a better strategy? How can we ensure we are getting to a better strategy which can help us in the upcoming exam setting? Is it possible to use a buffer to mitigate the risk associated with the 1.95-minute approach? Because in a 1.95-minute approach, you've taken the total time, which is 195 minutes. So if you stretch on question number one, you're immediately impacting your section B, because the time is 195 minutes. And of that, you are stretching on question number one. So you're reducing the time for the question number 2 and 3, and in result ending into a failure. So can we have a buffer approach? Can we have a buffer to this 1.95 minutes approach? Let's see how and what. Assuming we have 175 minutes instead of 195. The 20 minutes buffer will help reduce the risk of overrunning and impacting an exam question in section B. Let's assume we have 175 minutes and we are doing a time management practice before our actual exams in December 25 on the basis of 175 minutes. Because if you tell student you have 97 minutes for a question number one, majority of the students will go to 107, 110, 112, because this is the bad habit of the student. They never devise a strategy of stopping. They never devise a strategy to stop at 97 minutes wherever they are. They will overrun 97 minutes to like 100 minutes, 102 minutes, 105 minutes, 107 minutes, and you keep going on. So there should be a lower ceiling. There should be a ceiling like 175 minutes of exam time. So you have a 1.75 minutes per mark rather than 1.95 minutes per mark. And you practice on that, because then you have a space. If even you are overstretching, you can overstretch from 1.75 minutes to 1.85 minutes to 1.9 minutes. So you have that breathing space and your section B will not compromise. So if you practice with 1.75, you have a, a space between the maximum 1.95 to the minimum 1.75, and you can take that space more positively. And in that way, your section B will never be compromised. Let's see, how will this work? Using a buffer can offer significant advantages. Now you can look at the table, one in red, one in black. The table in the red is what we have already discussed. That was with 195 minutes, and that is with 1.95 minutes per mark. We've already discussed that. You can see that table in the red. But look at the table in black, where I'm assuming we have 1.75 minutes per mark, and we're assuming that the AAA paper is 175 minutes paper rather than 195 minutes paper. Now, let's see how I have changed the time management. The question number one, in the 1.95 minutes approach, has 97 minutes in total. Now I have reduced that down to 87 minutes. Now, even if a student stretch beyond 87, you still have a space of 10 minutes, because The maximum time you can take to the question number 1 is 97. So if you practice at 87 and you practice 7 to 8 papers at home on 87 minutes, and even if you stretch by 4 minutes or 5 minutes or 6 minutes or even 10 minutes, you are still in the safe boundary of 97. But if you practice on 97 and you stretch on 97, you go to 107. And that's compromise the question 2 and 3. So start with 87 and see how much over you go from 87. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So you have a safe stretch of 10 minutes. You can stretch from 87 to 97. You have a stretch and you can utilize that. But if you fit yourself in 87, that's wonderful. But still, if you exceed, you can, because you have a window of 10 minutes, and that's better. Same goes with question number 2 and 3. Question number 2 and 3, under the revised approach of 1.75 minutes per mark, is 44 minutes. So in each of the question 2 and 3, you're getting a 5 minutes breathing space, a 5 minutes window. So even from 44 minutes, if you stretch to 49 minutes, you're still in the safe zone for the next question. So keeping yourself at the lower limit, 87 minutes for the question number 1, 44 minutes for the question number 2, 44 minutes for the question number 3, that will help you with some breathing spaces. Even if you stretch from 87 to 97, which most of you will do so because the student have that tendency, you're still in the safe limit. At least you're not compromising your next question. But when you use 97 minutes and you go 10 minutes over the 97 to 107, you've already compromised 10 minutes from your section B. And that will call you in panic. So I believe you can practice some exam questions, some practice at home with 1.75 minutes and see what results you get. See the percentage of the paper you complete with 1.75 minutes per mark. And with that, you can go over the line. So you can go from 1.75 to 1.8 to 1.85 to 1.9 and 1.95 still. But see how much paper you complete at 1.75. For example, you're writing the question number 1 and you believe at 1.75, I managed to complete 75% of my question number 1. The moment you take it to 1.80, I complete 80%. The moment I take it to 1.90, I complete 100. That's good. So start from 1.75 and gradually scale it up. And see by you're starting from the paper 1, and by the time you reach the paper 5, how much improvement is coming in? From 1.75, where are you going? To 1.8, 1.85? Still better. And if you need, you can still go to 1.95 because that's the maximum time you have. So I hope you can start from that black table and move towards the red table or somewhere between the black and the red. In that way, you will not be compromising any one question in the exam paper, and you will be maximizing your opportunities and maximizing your marks. So you can do lots of papers with 1.75 and then stretching it up to 1.95 maximum. So I think that is one good strategy which can really be beneficial for the students and really can impact positively to the overall time management. Practice and simulate under time conditions as frequently as you can prior to the real exam. There are 7 recent papers from September 22 exam up to the June 25 exam, which is the most latest paper available on the practice platform. So June 25 is the most latest paper, from September 22 being the earliest. 7 past papers, 1 ACCA mock. So if you're preparing for the December exams, the ACCA will publish a mock. So that will be the 8th paper. You can practice these 8 papers with 1.75 and judge how much you're completing. Increase it to 1.8, increase it to 1.85, increase it to 1.9, and see what percentage completion goes up. And in that way, you are excelling a time management technique, which on the day of exam will be very beneficial for you. So please start doing this time management exercise starting from 1.75 minutes over the 7 recent papers you have on ACCA practice platform plus one mock and see where you land between 1.75 to 1.95. It will vary from student to student because definitely each student has a different mindset, different way of writing, different way of thinking. Every student has a different speed of thinking and reacting or understanding. So definitely each one will have a different answer to this um, shift from 1.75 to 1.95. Finally, on the exam day, what time management strategies can enhance your performance? Now, we already spoke of the typical 1.95 minute. We spoke of a revised 1.75 minutes. I spoke of the practice around 1.75, enhancing it to 1.95. See where what comes good for you, 1.75, 1.95, or something in the middle. And you move on that way to your exam, actual exam. But on the day of exam, these are some wise things you can do to boost your time management performance. Number one, implement the stop and move on rule. I've been advocating this rule for last 2 years now. Stop and move on. So where the time ends, now the maximum time for the question number one you have is 97. So if you're starting from 1.75, that is 87. So even if you're stretching, the stretch is taking you to 97. Still, that is a safe window. 97, wherever you are. Suppose at the 97th minute, you are 90% complete. Put a full stop. Put a full stop. End. Move on to the section B immediately. You're not even writing an extra word. You're not even writing an extra sentence. You have to move on. You have to move on. If you devise this strategy of stopping and moving on, that will really help you because that will maximize the opportunity. And only a student who maximize the opportunity will pass. So you have to move on. You have to do this over the 7 recent papers. You have to stop with the maximum time of 97 minutes for the question number one, and you move on. Section B, minimum time 44 minutes, maximum time 49 minutes from 1.75 to 1.95. The maximum time to stop and move on is 49. Move on from 49, not stretching to 50 even. So do this, stop and move on. Number two, address the unknown later. If you find something unusual in the paper for 6 marks, 8 marks, 10 marks, something you don't understand at the first go, something you find challenging, don't just glare at it. Address the unknown later. Leave it to the end. Suppose it's a 10 marks requirement. So the maximum time you can give to that 10 marks requirement is 19.5 minutes. And the minimum time you can give that to that is 17.5 minutes, right? So just keep some 17 to 18 minutes on the sideline and say that at the end of the exam, in 17 to 18 minutes, I'll come back to this question and will try to do the best I can. But rather than glaring at it and increasing your stress level and spoiling your overall time management is not something good. So address the unknown later. Stay calm. Avoid stress and pessimism, as these can negatively impact your ability. Definitely, if there is something difficult, if there is something challenging, uh, don't just come in panic. Look at optimism. Look at the glass is half full, not half empty. If you don't know 10 marks, you still know 90. If you don't know 15 marks, you still know 85. Do your best on 85. And whatever you can do on the 15 marks you don't know, do it in the end. So you have to be clever, you have to be calm, you have to be composed, you have to take the best of the decisions on the day of exam because students generally lack that. Either they come into stress, they start glaring at something they don't know. Why are you not looking at the big picture? Why are you not looking at the 80% paper you know and leave the 20% you don't know to the end and do whatever best you can do because that's the only way you can pass. So your target is to pass, right? Now work on it. Lastly, start with what you know. So if you believe that I'm good in section B, start with section B first and come back to section A later. But within the time management, not out of time management. Or if you think I'm good in section A, start with section A first, then go to B. So there's no one formula. There's no one formula. You can go from A to B, you can go from B to A, whichever suits you, but start with what you know. Start with your strongest section first. So even when you're practicing at home, devise a strategy that will you start with B, then A, or A, then B. So when you're practicing the 7 papers, make sure you have your strategy uh, you have your strategy prepared for the big day. So B to A to B, and starting from 1.75 minutes and stretching to maximum 1.95 minutes and stopping. Because if I say 1.95 minutes, you will stretch to 2.05 minutes. You will stretch to 2.10 minutes. You will stretch to 2.15 minutes. That's a disaster in making. So start from the lower side, 1.75, scale it up, and you can still scale it up to 1.95 minutes. And that's a better buffer, a better bargaining space, a better breathing space for you to excel in time management in the AAA paper. I hope you will understand my approach of the buffer. You will understand that table I was talking about, 1.75 to 1.95, when you watch this video. If you still have any questions, you can reach me on my WhatsApp number. You can contact me and ask for any further advice you need on time management. So this is an extra strategy I'm putting in place, the buffer strategy of 1.75 minutes per mark. And I hope this worked well for you when you sit down to practice broader set of past papers for the upcoming December 25 exam. Your tutor, Kashif Kamran, signing off from this time management session for AAA.